Hello YouTube, it's Al here with YGOUnderground, coming at you today with something very special. Now, in the weeks prior to the release of the Realm of the Light structure deck, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Underground and a few of its senior members were working on a very special deck. What we were looking to do was build the sackiest and most powerful deck we could possibly build in order to take it to Nationals. Now, what we came up with was the sackiest deck of all time, but it was not ready to compete at Nationals. But it is an extremely fun deck, and so today I'm going to premiere it for you so that, I don't know, you can put it together and enjoy it on Dueling Network, in real life, whatever your guilty pleasure is. So, the deck is called DougieSworn in honor of Jeff, whose name on Dueling Network is Dougie Master something. But without further ado, here's the deck. We're running one Flamvel Guard, 3 Judgment Dragons, 2 Raiden, 2 Minerva. The reason 2 Minerva, because this deck actually wants to resolve her effect to send her from the hands of the graveyard in order to mill a card, which is very beneficial from getting through your deck. You see, the goal of this deck is to move through the whole deck and then OTK your opponents with Judgment Dragons and Dragon Rulers. So 2 Minerva. Additionally, you can normal summon her to search the White Stone of Legend if you need the White Stone of Legend to keep yourself moving through the deck. 3 Lumina, because she's your normal summon play, which is helpful for when you do get to the bottom of your deck and you need to get through back row. Now we're playing 3 1-ofs for names. We don't need 8 names in this one like the one that I showed you last week, because you are drawing through your whole deck and therefore we'll see more names. So 1 Aaron, 1 Gareth, 1 Lumina. Moving to the Blue Eyes section of the deck, we have 2 White Stones, 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons. These are for both making extremely powerful plays off of Soul Charge, and 2 to support the concept of drawing through your deck, because we are using the Blue Eyes draw engine. 2 Eclipse Wyverns. As you move through your deck and mill or pitch your Eclipse Wyverns, you're going to be able to use them to get your Judgment Dragons out of your deck and out of the chaos that is happening as you are digging through your deck. And then you're going to be able to banish them to add the Judgment Dragons with your 3 Dragon Rulers, Tempest, Blaster, Tidal. Redox doesn't have enough attack to complete an OTK. The goal was to have 1 Dragon Ruler to banish the 2 Eclipse Wyverns, and then 2 Dragon Rulers to go with your Judgment Dragon to OTK them, should you, go to that. Now, most of the time, you result in boards that are much more game than just Judgment Dragon and 2 Dragon Rulers. You will end up with really crazy, huge, unbreakable boards with this deck. It's hilarious. But, search cards. Charge, Foolish, Dragon Shrine. Dragon Shrine is very important. You always send your Flamvel Guard, and then usually an Eclipse Wyvern. But you can send White Stone if you need that Blue Eyes White Dragon to your hand. The reason we do this is because we can thin our deck 3 cards before we even start drawing through it, and in the midst of drawing through it, we can thin it 3 cards, which is huge for this deck's concept. 3 trade-in, you can pitch your Blue Eyes with it and draw cards, kind of the point. Additionally, you can pitch your Judgment Dragon with it if it will get you out of a brick. It's not recommended, but hey, when you're desperate, when you move through your whole deck, 2 Judgment Dragons is more than enough to get the job done. 3 Soul Recharge to pitch with your Light Sworns. And next, MVP of this deck, 3 Hand Destruction. Now, we were debating on other draw cards we could play to move through this deck, and Hand Destruction ended up being the MVP, because Hand Destruction is like all of these other cards, but put together, because you can pitch whatever cards you want to make it happen. It's like Cards of Consonance combined with Recharge, combined with Trade-In, combined with 7-Star Sword, because you can pitch all of the cards you don't want in your hand in order to draw new cards. Your opponent also gets to do the same. Unfortunately, one of the drawbacks of this deck that resulted in us discontinuing playtesting it for Nats was the fact that it did not have a good Lightsworn Ruler mirror match, because as it turns out, Hand Destruction can kind of help your opponent as much as it helps you. But it is one of the reasons that the deck is as fast-paced as it is, and it's one of the reasons the deck's just as fun to play as it is. So 3 Hand Destruction, it's really fun. 2 Soul Charge. By the time you get to the bottom of your deck, you're going to use Soul Charge to bring out 5. There's no reason you need 3 because 3 clogs and you can't move through your deck with Soul Charges. Additionally, you can only activate 1 per turn, and when you play this deck, your games are only like 2. Like, you usually will have your opponent defeated by the first or second turn. Like, no joke, guys, this deck is insanely powerful. And last, 2 Upstart Goblin, just to keep you moving through your deck. There were other cards we were testing there, but just nothing ended up panning out, and so Upstart Goblin, because when you draw it, you can get to the next card and just keep going. For the extra deck, 1 Leviair the Sea Dragon, because one of the big plays of this deck is you Lumina for a level 4, you make Leviair, you banish an Eclipse Wyvern and something else for a Dragon Ruler, add Judgment Dragon, you detach for Leviair, you bring back Eclipse Wyvern, you overlay the Eclipse Wyvern with your level 4 YGOUnderground that you got with the second Lumina into Daigusto Emerald, and then you Daigusto Emerald to either bring back a Blue Eyes White Dragon to put huge amounts of pressure on board, or to shuffle Judgment Dragons that you accidentally milled back into the deck, at which point Wyvern will trigger and get you another Judgment Dragon lined up to go. Next, Mecha Equipped Engineer. This is your stall card in case you do open a little bit slow so that we can hold off our opponent. And additionally, it makes huge unbreakable boards even more unbreakable when you going first and you can't attack your opponent for game. He's just a useful little tool to have there in order to make sure you don't get Crimson Bladed or anything weird like that. Exciton Knight, because if you're playing against Evil Swarms, you need outs. 101's pretty much the same reason. You don't make them very often. When we are playing the Evil Swarm matchup, you need outs to their Ophions and outs to their boards so you can keep going that aren't level 5 or higher monsters. So these two fit the bill. Level Chain to keep moving through your deck in order to, serve as Foolish Burial, move through your deck, put something in your grave that you missed for some reason, because sometimes you do end up with like 10 cards left in deck, and so Level Chain remedies that. Daigusto Emerald serves the great dual purpose of this deck of getting you a Blue Eyes White Dragon and recycling Judgment Dragons. Good all around. And for your Dragon Rulers, of course, Big Eye and Dracosac. And finally, because we are playing easily accessible Blue Eyes White Dragons and we are playing Judgment Dragons, and we do go to the bottom of our deck so fast that Judgment Dragon has the threat to deck us out, we're going to be playing a Divine Dragon Knight Felgrand. Very good, makes your board, just makes boards even harder to break. Black Rose Dragon to bait out back row. Michael, in case you have to synchro into the 4th name, also baits out back row. Also level 7 for your Dragon Rulers, which you can use to just extend your plays. Stardust Spark Dragon, because he's kind of a go-to first turn play if you don't get a huge Soul Charge play in, then you just kind of default to him in order to keep yourself safe from Crimson Blader and also have presence on the board. Additionally, he helps with OTKs because you can Judgment Dragon nuke the board, and if they don't have a response, you can save himself, thus giving you 2,500 extra damage. And a sort of MVP of the extra deck, who's kind of out here, you can't see him, Azure Eyes Silver Dragon. By the end of your combo, usually you end up Soul Charging out for a Blue Eyes and a level 1 tuner. You synchro him to him first turn, and he makes all of your dragons indestructible by card effect and unable to be targeted until your opponent's next turn, which means your board is staying there, which means on your turn, you can launch your entire giant board that you've made at your opponent and go for game. And last, to round out the synchros, we have Crimson Blader and Leo. Those are pretty self-explanatory. The Leo, really, Leo or Star Eater are both equally good, but we felt like since we were summoning the Minerva sometimes to get white stones, and because Leo's effect is just so much better, we went Leo over Star Eater. If you played the deck, you could really go either way. And finally, the side deck, which is kind of equally important, at least. We kind of feel like there's a more strict side deck regimen for this sort of deck. 3 MST, 3 Decree to get you through massive back row. 2 Medion the Time Ruler, extremely good for dealing with Evil Swarms, and eventually Shadows. We tested a lot in OCG, and this card's really good against Shadows. But He works with Blaster in order to pop off cards, which is like an out to anything that you might be having problems with. Furthermore, he clears entire boards of like Ophions and such, and also deals with weird Boudrin stuff if they get too established, and just a good card all around. In addition, he returns to your deck when he's done, which if you've gotten to the bottom of your deck, it increases the probability of drawing him again. Like, you have a high probability of drawing him again, so he just has multiple uses through the deck, which is really nice. And then 3 Max C and 2 Construction Train Signals for the reasons I outlined in my earlier YGOUnderground video. So that is the deck, guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. I do hope that some of you will build it and enjoy it as much as we have through testing it. The deck is hilariously fun. Unfortunately, it suffers some drawbacks in the mirror match, which made us deem it not really a worthy competitor for Nationals this year. But against every other deck, the matchups are pretty great, and the reactions you get from people you are playing against are pretty great. So, rate, comment, subscribe, and DougieSworn away.